Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. A very good afternoon to all the viewers. I am Hiral Dadia. One stock that is in focus is the Finolex cables on the back of Q1 numbers. Revenues are up around 18 to 19% on a consolidated basis. Margins have seen an improvement as well, and the profit number has come in at 160 crores. Joining us on the show to discuss more is Mr. Mahesh Viswanathan, CFO at Finolex Cables. Mahesh, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure to speak to you. Mahesh, my first question coming to you is, overall, if you see in terms of the first quarter, has it met your internal expectations?
It is just about there. I think we could have done better in the appliances segments, but in terms of our larger business, the electrical cables as well as the communication cables, I think we are almost there.
Okay. And what is it that, as you mentioned, segments where you could have done better, segments where you're just about there, specifically with regards to segments that you could have done better, where was the miss?
Well, on appliances, I think we were expecting a little bit more, but then while inflation has cooled down, there is still a reluctance on letting go of discretionary spends. And also the unseasonal rains in many parts of the country in April and May, that came in during the season time for our fan businesses, and so that got affected to some extent. So barring that, I think we've done reasonably well. Last year, the appliance business, what we call appliances, nearly touched 200 crores, which was very close to our target. And we had said that our next target is 500 over the next 2 to 3 years. And barring some mishaps like this, I think we are on track to reach those numbers.
Right. So what has been the volume growth overall this time around, and has it been, the growth that we've seen in terms of profitability as well, has it been a volume-led growth or has it been a pricing-led growth?
Well, it has been volume-led. Electrical cables overall grew about 29% on the wire side and about 3 to 4% on the power cable side. We are not a very large power cable player, but and most of our business comes from wires and wires for various applications. There, the volume growth was about 29% quarter on quarter, and I think that is a good trend to have, because as you see more expenditure on the construction and infrastructure side, I think going forward over the next, over both the medium and the long term, that the prospects are fairly good for us. Communication cables, we have cables both metal-based as well as fiber-based. Both of them had a volume increase. The metal-based cables showed about a 17% increase, and fiber-based cables were about 50%. But in this segment, there has been a price erosion consequent to large-scale dumping of fiber from overseas. The government has taken note of it and has recently introduced anti-dumping measure. And I hope that in the second half of this year, you will see better realizations, therefore better growth there. As far as the metal-based products are concerned, most often the changes or volatility in the metal prices, we pass it on to the customers. So if there is a copper price reduction, then it obviously affects the top line, whereas bottom line is still protected because we keep it as a pass-through with a small lag in time.
Right. Talking about the communication segment itself, a 50% growth is what we've seen in the OFC volumes, right? However, the other products have witnessed a growth of more than 25%. So what's going to be the strategy from here on in terms of the future outlook for the communication cable segment?
Well, a couple of announcements which the government made. One of them was as recent as 2 weeks ago, where the cabinet has approved an expansion program of about 1.4 lakh crores to connect the last mile for broadband connectivity across the various villages in the that I think is going to push fiber consumption in the country, and that will again be beneficial to companies like us. Uh, Beyond this, as 5G rollout becomes more, as the penetration becomes more in the country, fiber consumption will have to increase, and as more applications start riding on 5G, the need for fiber-based cables will be higher. Now, all this is not going to happen in 1 quarter or 1 year. It is a long-term play, and I think we are ready to handle that. We had announced expansion on the fiber side, both in the preform making as well as on the additional capacity on deploying fiber. So all that will come into play at the point in time.
Right. So, as you're mentioning about the expansion plans as well, clearly you've spoken about the preform facility, the OFC capacity expansion, and the E-beam facility. Are all of them on track, and when do you see them operationalize?
Yeah, they are on track. E-beam, the first of the machine is expected somewhere around end September, October. So I think by the end of the fiscal year, the E-beam lines should be operational. The preform facility should be operational towards the second half of next year. And depending on the pull from the the 1.4 lakh crore program announced by the government, our cabling facility on the optic fiber side would take off. That would depend on when the tenders are announced now. So over the next 2 years, we would have ramped up those capacities as the market grows.
Right. So, with all of the facilities that will get operational, what's the kind of revenue addition that you're watching out for?
Well, the preform part is going to be margin accretive. There will be some preforms that we will be able to sell in the market, but largely it is going to be margin accretive, so it will increase the value chain within our organization. But the fiber and cabling facility would increase the revenue. E-beam will again increase overall revenue. Additionally, we are also expanding on the auto cable lines because more customers have come into the fold, and their needs are being addressed at this point in time. So all this put together, I think over the next year and a half to 2 years, we should expect anywhere between 600 to 700 crores of top line when all these projects are completed.
Right, and this would also include the 1.4 lakh crore BharatNet project. I mean, what is going to be our role, and what's the kind of opportunity is the company seeing out of this?
Well, 1.4 lakh crores is the money
overall project value.
How much of it is going to come into cables and how much of it is going to go into electronics and other peripherals? That part is still not clear. But we will be able to compete with the backward integration that we are planning. We will be able to compete more effectively than before.
Right. Another question that I have is overall, the company is not expanding from just a wire and cable company to one offering lighting, electricals, home appliance solutions, etc. Right? Now, taking these value-added products into consideration, what's going to be the strategy from here on for these newer segments of business? Is it going to be through the inorganic route, or is it going to be organic?
There will be some inorganic component for sure. Valuations are still not something that is at levels that is acceptable to us at this point in time, but we are actively looking out for the right targets. We have, if you see our numbers, we have a very healthy cash balance, and that is something that we can deploy very quickly. Should the target, should the target be that attractive?
Right, and these will be only in the home appliance and electrical segment, right? In terms of acquisitions.
Well, it could be in any of the newer appliances that we've gotten into. We have been looking at making sure that we have a base volume before we start putting up our own manufacturing facilities. So if there is a existing business that is attractive enough for us to buy, and there is a response from the target side as well, then I think that is something that can be concentrated on.
Right. So that's going to be an interesting way looking forward as well, over in terms of Finolex cables. So clearly, inorganic growth is something that could be on the cards. Thank you, Mahesh, so much for joining us on the show and giving us those views. And it could be one of the beneficiaries of the BharatNet project as well. So good growth trajectory that could be in the offing. So that's the management of Finolex cables, clearly indicating their strategy from here on. That's all that we have in this session. Thanks for watching, and lots more lined up on the other side. Please stay tuned to Be Goodbye.